Welcome back, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you stack silver and you like your daily news to be unfiltered, uncensored, and unbiased, well, you've come to the right place because I do exactly that. I uncover the truth. I talk about the hard situations that nobody else wants to because they might be a little too controversial. So make sure you subscribe. Definitely click the bell so you immediately get notified every time I post, especially since I will be the first on the scene with breaking news. Always. But anyways, we're gonna go back a couple weeks because there was a situation about the US military raiding our silver stockpiles. And this caught a lot of wind and a lot of controversy behind it. But this isn't the article we'll be breaking down in this video. This has a lot to do with it, which I might share at the end to catch some people up. But this is what we're gonna be talking about. I got an email from someone. I'm going to keep them anonymous. He says, "Hi there. Looking into your fantastic videos, they are very good. I think you are up to exposing something. Back in the days, I used to be an officer in the Swedish anti-aircraft forces. You mentioned the figures about the Tomahawk missile, so I have concluded some facts, and most of it is open facts on Google." These are his thoughts below. So you saw he was in the Swedish anti-aircraft forces. He was an officer. The Tomahawk missile thing he's referring to is how there is 500 ounces of silver in a single Tomahawk missile. One Tomahawk missile. So every time one of those gets dropped, that's like an entire monster box. Just being obliterated on the ground, the silver's never recycled or rescrapped. It's gone. Now that could refer back to the US military raiding stockpiles. There is a lot of silver that is needed in military, so it makes sense. And we better hope that they're willing to take our silver to make missiles and make satellites and all of this defense and surveillance stuff, because in my opinion, I'd rather them use the silver to make a missile than some solar panel. I would rather the military use our silver to defend our land instead of just try to make a couple EVs. You know what I'm saying? So it's rightfully so, but it still caused a lot of controversy. Regardless, he goes into this, but he dives a lot deeper. And to give some context even more so, aerospace and military is left off the Silver Institute's annual demand, the Silver Demand Report. So when they say demand was 1.21 billion ounces, record-breaking demands, record-breaking supply deficits, that's not even including some of the sectors that use the most silver. You know, sometimes I'll get emails like this, but the way he packaged this, it's very well written, straight to the point, hits all the nails on the head, except a couple that I'll touch upon, because I did respond to this guy and, thanked him for this, but regardless, it's a lot to take in, and if you are someone who is still on the fence about silver, or someone who just wants to know as much as possible on why my name is Silver Slayer and not Gold Guy, well, here it is. Silver, the hegemony is arising. Supply-demand structure in the silver market consists of 3-4 different areas, and it could even say 5 given or even 6, given a couple of different, but these are the main ones. This is the meat and potatoes when I talk about the macro. People focus on CPI data and the micro and what, all that. There's a much bigger, more important picture happening beyond just CPI data, folks. Demand, weapon and aerospace, space war, and all have new satellites, missiles and bombs in terms of cruising missiles, ground-to-air, anti-aircraft missiles, anti-tank missiles, guided artillery grenades, air-to-air fighter missiles, ship-based missiles, coastal missiles, at least 500 different missile systems around the world, various forms of drones, nuclear, intercontinental missiles, etc. All of those require silver and nuclear and AI chips, and EVs and solar panels, as you guys know, but let's dive into this side because we don't talk about this enough. SpaceX started launching Starlink satellites in 2019. As of early January 2024, it consists of over 5,289 mass-produced small satellites in low Earth orbit that communicate with designated ground transceivers, which those transceivers also use silver, along with the over 5,000 satellites. Nearly 12,000 satellites are planned to be deployed with a possible later extension of 42,000. A medium satellite weighs about 2,500 to 4,200 kilograms. A cruising missile type Tomahawk is claimed to contain 500 ounces of silver. The total weight of 1,600 kilograms means 1% of the total weight is silver. Above represents millions of units containing various amounts of silver. Javelin anti-tank produced by Lockheed Martin produces 4,000 a year, and that's a total of 50,000. The U.S. planned to use this missile by 2050. The overall conclusion is as follows. If you don't have silver, you will certainly not be successful on the battlefield. So silver is a very strategic asset in the base of the weapon hegemony in the world. And that is why this article makes so much sense. And that is why when I talked about this and I got so much backlash from other channels, I was confused. Well, actually, I wasn't confused, but it wasn't that crazy, right? When I'm talking about the truth, I'm going to talk about the stuff that goes against mainstream media. I'm going to go against some of your opinions, I'm sure. Hopefully you guys respond in a respectful fashion, but I'm here to expose the truth, and I will tell you when it's my opinion, and I will tell you when it's fact. There's a huge difference. But regardless, what is in front of our face right now is real. There is 500 ounces of silver in a Tomahawk missile. It is true that if you don't have silver, you certainly will not be as successful on the battlefield. That is a fact. Grenades without gunpowder equals missiles without silver. Geopolitical tensions and conflicts will most certainly increase demand for silver within 1 to 2 year range. And even referring back to this, look at this picture. Turn your silver into bullets. Look at all this, that silver, this is unrecorded uses for silver, right? From, like I mentioned, the Silver Institute's numbers, they don't incorporate any of these things in their annual reports. Bombs, nukes, submarine shells, satellites, tank, missiles, bullets, torpedoes, conventional submarines, rockets, satellites, all of the, in the aerospace world, all of that none of that silver is recorded into our data. So when we say 1.21 billion ounces was the demand, it's much higher than that. It's much higher than that. So of course, nobody will speak or even write about how important silver is in this respect, and the power will try to hammer and smash prices downwards as long as possible in order to buy as much as possible. The companies in the military-industrial complex will compete with these other companies in the industrial complex about this strategic asset. And it makes sense. Silver wins wars. Silver wins wars. That's the portion that I don't think a lot of people look at. Yes, silver is used for green. Yes, we're trying to hit zero net emissions by the year 2050 and global warming and climate change. But do you think we really care about that? No. We want silver for war. That's why we want it. We do not care. We don't care. I mean, if anything, it's just poking the bear from the BRICS and all these oil-rich countries that don't want us to go green, which is even more to the case of us purposely igniting this entire situation so we could have someone to blame when the dollar's demise inevitably happens and we can't take responsibility for ourselves. But regardless, this is what we're left with. He says, I can't find any figures for the total demand, and it's hard to find details and specifications in this area, so any consolidated assumption is impossible to make. Price elasticity might go to the moon. There's probably no limit for this. Of course, money price won't be the limitation for winning, losing military, and that's a good point. It's a very good point. And something that Andy Schectman says a lot, which is spot on, is price is the greatest tool of misdirection. If you want people to think something isn't valuable, then just strip its dollar value away from it. Because people judge value off of the price in dollar terms, even though dollars are literally worthless, 98% of its original purchasing power gone, $34 trillion in debt, hundreds of billions to other countries without even trying to build back up ours. Regardless, that's a whole other political, I don't care if you're left, right, up, down, front, center, sideways, to the middle, even a little bit crooked, but the whole point is that they don't want silver to go up because then people will realize it's valuable. Instead of just looking at why silver is valuable and determining its value off of that, people peg it to its price. And that's exactly what they want you to do. Prices could probably easily rise 50 to 200 times from current levels. And I mean, that's give or take, who knows? you can't really put a price in dollar terms on silver because silver is priceless in terms of dollars since the dollar is worthless and silver, has value, real value. But this is another point. One single airstrike assault could consist of 100 missiles. 100, just one. And think about how much silver that would be. If there's 500 ounces in a single Tomahawk missile, not saying all of those missiles are Tomahawks, but that's a lot of silver, and that silver's never going to be recycled. It's obliterated. So then we can go into industrial demand. This segment is growing well in areas like computing, electronics, which is another AI chips now, solar panels, EVs, fuel cell engines for H2. And you have like silver lithium-ion batteries. There's colloidal silver in the medical world. Silver has antimicrobial properties. It can purify water. You put silver in milk. It keeps the milk fresh longer. It's incredible. Silver is a magical metal. That's why back in ancient biblical times, silver was thought of as magic. And that's why it was a one-to-one equivalent to gold. Because gold, what does gold have that silver doesn't? Nothing. What does silver have that gold doesn't? Everything. Silver is the most highly conductive metal for thermal conductivity and electricity and light sensitivity. Silver is, not gold. So above silver is a very important component in the green transformation in big companies such as Apple, Samsung, Huawei, Tesla, auto industry, tech industry, H2 industry, Toyota, etc. will be in competition within the war and aerospace area, competing with available suppliers in silver. And that's a good point. Suppliers in silver, like Elon Musk, which Tesla, SpaceX, Solar City, I don't know if he's still at Solar City, but someone like him, he needs boatloads of silver. So what he does, he goes and buys a silver mine. Instead of trying to find a constant source, which he would have to pay premiums and have to also compete with other buyers, why not just have his own? So demand, investment, and jewelry. Business as usual at consumer levels, increased demand in India by a lot. Demand, commodity backing, and BRICS currency. And this is kind of where Andy Schectman comes in and takes the cake when he's on my show, or our show, which we have a weekly show. Just go to Silver Stacking Podcast or podcasts on my channel. If you guys want to go watch those, we do an new episode every week. New demand arises when BRICS is going to set up a commodity backed by currency. Some experts claim that silver will be a part of the stacking of commodities. Gold is a tier 1 asset according to Basel III, and that is core capital in banks, regulations, and legal tender. Silver is not. Future will tell the demand in this area. Silver is not, even though silver was money before gold was even money, even in the United States. Supply side of the equation. Mexico is the biggest supplier of silver. The known reserves are estimated to last only 2-3 years. And that's legitimate. That is real. Mexico is going to be running out of silver within 2 years. All of the current reserves from the past decade they accumulated will be gone within the next 2 years. In the next 2 years, as the number one world's producer of silver, labor activism is on the rise. Environmental activism is also on the rise. Shifts in political regimes by the day. Supply and demand dynamics rapidly shifting. And that's in favor of demand while supply is dwindling before our eyes. Stockpiles of silver disappearing. I wonder where that's going. Hint, hint. Mexico's always been the number one producer, but Mexico's silver production is down almost 25% in the past 2 years. This is a shocking drop off the cliff in silver production. That is scary. That is scary. And then you have like Mexico and Peru and China. Those three accumulate over half the entire silver production. Their clashes are closing down mines. What does this all say? What does this all say? Let's find out. 72% of mined silver output are rest product from mining and other metals or areas as zinc, copper, iron, etc. It's a byproduct. He's saying it's a byproduct. Silver is found by accident. They're looking for zinc, lead, copper, iron, etc. If they find silver, they'll take it, but they're not looking for it. They're not looking for it. And this supply deficit in 2022 was 237 million ounces in the red, a new world record according to the World Silver Survey. Think about that. 237 million ounces in the red. How are we going to catch back up? And by the time we accumulate enough silver to catch back up, dig up those 237 million ounces, we'll be in the red even further because it's an ongoing situation. Silver hegemony consists of the squeeze due to silver used in weaponry, space, quantity, and quality matters. No silver, no missiles, grains transformation exploding, high-tech business increasing as usual, monetary backing increasing, bricks, all at the same time. If one bake supply figures in the cake, above areas will end up in a very big squeeze and sending the price to the moon. These figures do not include any estimation from war and aerospace. So we need to talk about this. People really need to see. People really need to see how important of a role silver has, not only to make the world go round in terms of green, but to win wars. And now that the US is involved in 5 different wars, you could see why we might be raiding silver stockpiles, our silver stockpiles. For thousands of years, silver has been used in trade for everything. We're not going to go into the backstory because we already know the backstory. Silver is critical to nuclear power generation too, and now as we go into nuclear, it's even worse. We don't have enough silver. Everyone wants a slice of the silver pie, but there's not enough pie to go around. And that's the best way to summarize this. If you guys wanted to buy some, Slayer at milesfranklin.com. We have deals right now. Royal Canadian Mint Week. Just ask me what the deals are. When in the email, I'll send you the price sheet. We have tons of other stuff for very, very low prices. 10-ounce bars, like $2.50 over spot. Lots of other stuff as well. So just email me, Slayer at milesfranklin.com. Make sure you subscribe so you guys get updated on a daily basis and click the bell so you immediately get updated. You have to be buying silver. Now, do you understand why all the central banks are hoarding gold and silver and why military needs much more silver than gold? I'm sure military doesn't give a crap about gold. Leave that to the central banks. The military needs silver for all of these reasons. Gold isn't used in any of this. It's silver. Yes, there's a small percentage of gold in cell phones and laptops. I used to scrap gold out of cell phones and laptops myself, but we're talking about silver, which is a much bigger player in the game. And you better hope that the military has all hands on silver to make these missiles and bullets and rockets and surveillance systems and satellites instead of just some solar panel they're going to put on a house or something. I mean, I highly recommend that they do that. So anyways, yeah. I'm going to wrap this video up here. Hopefully you guys stuck around this whole time. If you did, I appreciate you. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.